Minneapolis and on the web at kfai.org. It's Tuesday here, 26 degrees.
I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to Conversations with Al McFarlane. Glad to be here and glad to have you along today. Today, as always, a special show, wonderful people, good conversation. My focus today is on art and creativity. I call it the genius within. And I'm pleased to have new and old friends and relatives on the call, those who are here already and those who are going to be joining in the next hour to talk about art and culture. Let's see, somebody is giving me feedback, so to monitor your sound. Maybe each of you should mute and then come back on one by one to make sure that your sound's not doing the feedback. Sometimes when you have a microphone on during the video chat, it creates feedback. Well, let me introduce who's here so far. Start with my cousin and my elder, Robert Powell. Robert Powell is a sculptor and artist and owner of a studio in St. Louis, Missouri. It's called Portfolio, and he has carried forth a mighty initiative to celebrate and elevate the thinking, the culture, the beauty of that we observe in our world, documenting that as an artist and as a repository, as a showplace, as a forum, presenting art. Robert Powell, good afternoon, cousin, dear cousin. How you doing, man? So unmute now.
I'm doing well, Al, and thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this show.
Well, it's great to see you. So those who are listening on KFAI, we're doing multimodal or multi-platform, obviously live radio on KFAI, wonderful station, phenomenal asset in the community. But KFAI also streams live at kfai.com. And so we may be connecting with people anywhere around the planet who are fans of the station and the work that we do. We also are streaming live on the Facebook pages and YouTube pages of Insight News and McFarlane Media, Al McFarlane. But we also are streaming live through the national network of the Black Press of America, Black Press USA Facebook, and Black Press USA YouTube. So we're using every resource that we have to connect with our people, both here in community and around the world. And speaking of that, I want to bring in the next guest, Brother Charles Caldwell. Charles Caldwell and I go back years and years and years. He's one of the celebrated leaders and artists here in Twin Cities. Charles, good to see you. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, Al. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity and the invite to have me participate in this conversation today. And just trying to survive and just stay creative in the process.
Great. Loretta Day is here. Loretta Day is a Minneapolis artist. Her paintings, her work, drawings of Dr. Martin Luther King are going to appear in the cover of next week's Insight News. I reached out to her. She accommodated, and we're going to be presenting her work and hopefully continuing and broadening a relationship. Loretta, good afternoon. Good to see you, and thank you for what you do. Thank you for being you. Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. I'm really excited about being here and joining in.
I have a cousin that I've never met in person, but only here. Delmisha Hayes is in Boston, and she and her mom own a business called Tafari Wraps. And so they are artists and entrepreneurs. Delmisha, how are you?
Hi, Al and everyone. I'm okay. A little
Okay.
sleepy, but I'm good. Yeah.
Good to see you. Is your mom going to join us too? Is Imani going to join? Do you know?
She's not going to join, but she's here, so maybe you'll see her walk past every now and again.
Okay, great. Good to see you again.
You
Joining
too.
us from Jamaica. Now, this is the brother I just met by email a couple of days ago, but I've been watching him for a few days. I came across his channel on YouTube. It's called Tyrone Studio. And Tyrone is to what I know, he'll tell me who he really is, but what I know him from watching him on YouTube, he's a visual artist, a painter, does caricature portraits of people. And he also is all about food and working with ordinary people up in the country, up in the hills in Jamaica. When Bobby and I were watching him, I said, Bobby, I swear he must be up near Mile Gully, up where my family lives, up in near Port Maria. And I don't know if you were there or not, but that's how it looked to me. But that's how the country looks in Jamaica, rich, warm, lush. And Tyrone goes and meets people, knows them by talking about food, cooking with them. And while they're cooking, sometimes he's interviewing them and also doing portraits of them. And the portraiture is phenomenal. Tyrone, brother, good to see you. How you doing?
Yeah, wagwan. What's good, what's great. Yeah, man. Blessings and honor. It's a privilege to be amongst the elders. Always a thing for me as a young man. I respect my elders. Understand you paved the way. And one love from Jamaica. It's a privilege to be on this platform. I never knew that Al would reach out to me. When I saw the email, I responded immediately because it looked like something very important. You understand? So we get to know each other along the way. Yeah, man. We don't hide the pot, We don't have to twang or anything. We call it in Jamaica. It's a part of me. That's me. That's my culture. And I embrace culture. We have there's a word they call it cultural retention. But just to break down a little bit about myself, I'm an art educator, a fine artist. I graduated from the Edna Manley College School of the Visual and Performing Arts year 2018. I've been practicing painting and art from around 2012. That's when I was in high school in Jamaica. Big up to the Carteret College. I don't know anybody know the Carteret College, but the Carteret College was that place that I started creating, and I know that I was a creative at that point, and I never put down the banner. I love painting. I've exhibited most places in Jamaica. Said I've sold many commissions and all of that, and it's a learning process for me. We're always learning, always changing and adapting and making art evolve based on our environment, how we feel at the moment, and what is happening. As I was telling a few of my students that art is like social commentary, and we're looking at a particular artist, Caravaggio, and he painted in a style where he got the references from biblical perspective or scriptures. And at that time, during their period, the Catholicism, that's what they knew. But we're living in a modern society. What we knew, what we're experiencing, we tend to put it on canvases, or put it on murals, or put it in animation. So that's the part of us as creative that is always going to be the genius that I was trying to explain to them. So one love again. Thanks,
Wonderful,
Mr.
man.
And company for having me. Yeah, man.
I
Blessings.
love the Jamaican voice, man. I can listen to you all day. It's so lyrical and so beautiful and so powerful. But you know, one thing that I love about what I've seen of your work, Tyrone, is you connecting with ordinary people in the countryside and having food with them. And so I know food is important, and healing and nutrition are important. And that leads me to connecting with my other guest, another long-term friend, Setu Jones. Setu Jones is what we all call a master artist here as well. One of the his colleagues among the great ones here in Minnesota, who are prolific and prodigious in their output. Setu, you also have this thing about food and health. And so, you know, number one, jump in and say hello and good morning. Always good to see you, Setu.
Absolutely. And thank you for inviting me, Al. It's an honor. And first, I'm very flattered that you invited me. And then it's an honor to be here hanging out with so many august artists here. And really, let me even give it some context here. And Al and I have both graduated to the level of elders. And really, Al drops much more wisdom than me. I mean, Al is really an elder, and I've just become old here. But still, having this daily practice of making art in some way or another. And looking here and seeing Charles and Loretta, too, are both folks from this community that have been making art as long as I have. And we are so fortunate to still be here doing this. Right now, and now talked about food, I have been, like so many other folks, inspired by the breadbasket and the tradition that folks of African descent have used to create this rich culinary history. And so I have been painting food as well as being involved in actually growing food and presenting food. So I've been right now focusing on feeding folks, and at least once a year have been doing some meal somewhere in the country. Last last fall, I did this project in Omaha, did another project a couple years before, laid up by the pandemic from 2020, but in 2019 did a big project in Indianapolis where I've been working with local farmers and local chefs, all of African descent, to feed folks in some way or another, to really make comments on food equity, and food sovereignty in some way or another. And really also inspired by the work of George Washington Carver. A lot of folks don't know that George Washington Carver was in addition to being one of the greatest botanists that the U.S. has ever produced, George Washington Carver was a visual artist. And that's really what led him into botany, the study of botany. So I have really been, over this last year, been doing this deep dive into some of the pigments that he created. In addition to like all the work that he did with plants, all the work he did, we all know the work he did with peanuts and with sweet potatoes, but a lot of folks don't know that he actually created 73 different stains and almost 300 colors using the natural environment. And so I've been trying to resurrect some of those dyes and use those in my work the way that George Washington Carver did. And really, in terms of sustainability, I mean, this is something that we all should be working toward. But all that is related to food and sustainability in some way. And actually behind me here, you see the sofas that I've painted, the furniture I've painted, using collard green themes. And really, this work behind me here, this sofa is a sofa I found on the street. Drive down the street in my old Fred Sanford truck, picking up old furniture, leaving it in the garage for a while to bug out and air out, and then repainting it, repositioning it. If we could turn this thing here, we could even see more of that furniture that I've painted over time. Anyway, this is a lot of me talking here, and I'm just kind of rambling now. But once again, Al, thank you.
It's all good. I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. Pleased to be in a conversation with some dear friends of mine from all around the country, around the world, actually. You just heard Setu Jones. Setu, and everybody, I want you to talk about your upcoming events and promote your work. Hopefully people should leave this knowing how they connect with you and how they buy some of the things that you create. And not that we're selling, but we're promoting the availability of creativity. So it's not a commercial, but it's an awareness opportunity. My guests include Delmisha Haynes, who is with the company called Tafari Wraps in Boston. Delmisha and her mom, Imani, are cousins of mine from Jamaica living in Boston. On the call, Tyrone Rowe is an art instructor, artist in Jamaica, joining us from Jamaica. Also here in Twin Cities, Charles Caldwell and Loretta Day from St. Louis, my cousin, Robert A. Powell. Let me go to Loretta Day. Loretta, thank you again for being here. Talk about your work, your vision. And as you talk, I'll come back around with the same question. I want to ask all of you to speak as though the time we have together is the last 10 minutes, period. And so I want you to talk from that point of certainty of what must be said right now that cannot wait, that someone needs to hear right now. Loretta, start with you.
Okay. Once again, thank you for including me in this conversation. I am a visual artist. I have been engaging in art since I was 11 years old. And for the most part, overall, if you look at any of my work in my background, you will see mostly portraits. I have been painting portraits forever. I started a one-woman show at the Pillsbury House in 91, I believe. And it was the title of the show was called Women of Color. And I focused on women, not necessarily who were famous and accomplished, but just ordinary women of color. And that was a pretty successful show. And I've had the opportunity to work with Seytou Jones, Tacoma Akins, and many artists here in Minnesota. So where I'm at right now is I'm working on a project called Black History 365. This project is pretty much self-explanatory. I'm trying to change the narrative of Black History Month. I feel that Black history is far too vast, far too rich to be celebrated only 28 days of a year. And so I'm trying to change that and create venues where I can show my work all year round. And that's where I'm at right now. I had my first venue at Homewood Studios in October. It was really nice. And I'm looking forward to progressing with this project. And because it is such a large project, it's probably going to carry me through the rest of my life, because I do want to put that information out there. I do want people to recognize their own people and the greatness that we have come from. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now with my project.
Robert, talk about what you've done as an artist and also as an entrepreneur. I think you pull together in your work the value of us valuing who we are, what we do, what we think, and what we create, and the marketability of it. And how do we approach the market? Robert, what do you think?
Well, I always say it's my opinion, and it's my newest creation in art is called perception. So everyone perceives things differently, and they come from their perspective. So Portfolio Gallery and Educational Center is a not-for-profit 501c3 arts organization. I am not the owner. I'm the founder and executive director. And today, month of January, 1st of January, we celebrated our 33rd year of operation. We made a move 5 years ago and sold our brick and mortar facility, but have continued to provide scholarships to other not-for-profit organizations that provide classes that fulfill our mission to educate, enrich lives, and foster a greater awareness of art created by the African American visual artists. That is not to cut out anyone. I'm trying, when I say African, that includes he must be if on the other side, Al, some kind of cousin, as are the others, Jamaica, and we want to welcome you also. Would love to do a show there. That's our mission. And what we want to do is increase the awareness, of the artists out there. My challenge to people, and you might try it sometime, to all the art people who come up to you and say, I love art, or people in general. So name me your 5 nationally known visual artists, living or dead. Who are they? And see what they say. So I've been asking that question for years, and they try to come, with the new people and overlook all the rich history of the African American visual artists, So we have a show coming up January 21st. It's a fundraising effort where we generate funds so that we can give away funds to other organizations. We've changed our mode. We used to run and try to identify contracts and do art, but it's just too much for one guy, you know. So we decided to do it another way and have continued to do exhibits and provide funds to organizations. So January 22nd is our scheduled opening. We will have some 45 to 50 artists from across the country, a couple from out of the country and in the France area, and over 70 pieces of art that we hope that the public will enjoy. Instead of taking photographs in front of your art, they could take it home and enjoy it, 365 days of the year, So that's what we try to do, is encourage them to collect, to make art important, and in particular, the African American visual artists, who I say has been overlooked. We go back to the Harlem Renaissance and then we're through. But it was artists before that. It's lots of artists unknown, as I said. So I don't want to ramble too much, but our show opens January 22nd at the St. Louis Artists Guild. And you can look that up on the web and on my web, Portfolio Gallery and Educational Center. Opens on the 22nd, runs through the February 26th. And we're hoping to have a good turnout for the opening reception. That's when you get most of the people, coming in. But
well, people can connect virtually as well by going to your website and looking at what's being presented and hopefully deciding that they want to own some of the work that's being presented.
That's not quite true yet. There is conversation here because COVID has really hit Missouri, pretty hard, St. Louis. And we're talking today about whether or not to even have this opening reception in January, push it back to February, the end of February, have a closing reception. Mm-hmm. But allow people to come in. We usually at this show, it's an annual show we've been doing for about 5 years. And, we flip-flop between St. Louis and Kansas City. Would love to come to your city, state. It's just a great, show and tell. Look at all these great artists that no one ever heard of, Yeah.
Okay. Charles Caldwell, jump in here and talk about this whole idea of both what motivated you to become the artist, what the calling was in your life and on your life, what the mission is right now, and how you struggle or fight, or maybe you don't struggle or fight, but how you prosecute the work that you've been handed.
Well, I moved to Minnesota in 1970. I was 7 years old. My mother took the journey from the South, from Arkansas to Minnesota. Took the bus, had the traditional traveling meal with chicken and sandwiches and just the excitement of going from a shotgun house to a big city. And I wasn't an artist as a kid prior to that because I had no understanding of it. And I don't believe that I would be the artist that I am today if I didn't make that journey. My life drastically changed in the creative process when I met an art teacher in the 6th grade who allowed me an opportunity to have some, I would call it power, because it allowed me to go from one place that I was told that I had to stay in, to a place that I could be in that I wasn't supposed to be in. And so I thrived on that. And just been an artist since 6th grade, and always loved it, loved the attention that it brought me, loved the joy that it brought the people around me, and it was transcending. It was young folks, old folks, people of all nationalities and colors, and it just gave me a tool of respect and joy. So fast forwarding, I've just been an artist every day since then, just creating. I'm amazed myself of the body of work that I have accumulated up to this point. And I've lived life every day like everybody around me. My buddies used to say, man, when did you do this? When you was hanging out with us all day? I said, well, after I got through hanging out all day, I stayed up all night and did this creative process. Right now, I have a body of work that I look at the body of work that I have now as work that I've been able to tune up with, practice, work to keep me abreast as being an artist and a creative person. So I'm extremely excited right now. 2019, for the prior to 13 years in that, I was in the construction industry and providing for my family. And 2019, after one more layoff, I decided that if I'm going to just keep going getting these layoffs every time I put in for a vacation, I might as well just jump out and just get into my art desires full time. So I'm since 2019, I've ventured out to be an artist again full time. Throughout the course of the years, you got to do what you have to do to survive. So I've had those bouts where I work for some years, and then I'll jump off and run out there in that creative world and try to be creative and survive. The place I'm in right now is I'm excited about the work that I have not created yet. Oh. I'm excited about the inspiration that is within me and the practice that I've had this far to create the great works that I see before me. This past 2 years, along with me making that jump accordingly, like a lot of other folks decided to move off into their own independent directions. The COVID attacked us, as it is aggressively attacking right now. And just the ability to survive and to be able to create and show your work, show and sell. I always say, show and tell is great, but in order to survive and get to that next creative process, you need to be able to show and sell. And people really enjoy our work as artists. They enjoy what we do. And I still get folks that look at me and they go, man, I'm going to get some work from you as soon as I can afford it. And I had to start calling people out on that, because it's like, you're insulting me when you say that. I mean, I give away more art than I sell. So, and I have art as affordable as $10, and I have art as free as a gift. I recently published, I have about 50 images available right now. And I recently have a product line in chain grocery store Hy-Vee here in Minneapolis in Robbinsdale. And I have a price point where it's just accessible and affordable. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when I go into that store and check the inventory or replenish the inventory, I may run into someone that knows me. I may catch someone that's looking at the artwork or introduce them to it. And I'll ask them, have you seen this new product in the store? And they go, yeah, I love this. I can't afford this right now because I'm unemployed. I said, well, how about if I make it affordable for you and let you pick out a couple pieces as a gift? Because it's my desire to gift the art. And if I could just give it away for free, I'd do that. But I'm trying to survive in it so that I can continue to create it. So what I got developing right now is I have a website that's up under construction. It's real close to completion. It is visual. And so I'll give that website is ccardwellfinearts.com. And so that's a promoting a line of 11 by 14 art prints that is available. Also, I have those images available in art cards. I want to promote a 5 by 7 art card that not only can you use it as a card and an announcement or a gift to communicate with someone, but you can also take that same 5 by 7 and you frame it up into an 8 by 10 piece of artwork or a piece of table art. Because one of the problems that a lot of folks have and we have to appreciate as I'm looking around on the backgrounds is those walls are covered. Mm-hmm. So with the amount of great art and artists that are out here, it's wall space is that's high real estate. And how do you get into that real estate? And so I'm just excited about this year and the creative visions that have presented themselves over the past 2 years. And just looking forward to just creating some great artwork, introducing young folks into the possibility of believing that they can take something from nothing and make it beautiful. You can look at a blank space and fill it in with your mind, your vision, and just create from within the inner process of sharing art that speaks a universal international language that we can all relate to.
Delmisha, how does that work with wearables that you and Imani create at your company?
Well, I've been browsing everyone's information during this time. So if you see my eyes wandering, how does it relate with Tafari Wraps? Well, we mostly work with Ankara fabrics, right? So those are going to be cotton. It's a batik making process borrowed from Indonesian batik. So we, source directly from Nigeria or Ghana to create, home decors and head wraps. Eventually, with the funding, we'll move back into clothing. Imani is the chief designer and the master seamstress, coming with experience as an interior decorator. If it weren't as sunny out, I'd show you some of the interior works that she has been working on. And really, since a teenager, my mother has been creating. We did not buy shower curtains. Bedding when she felt bored. She's buying the China silk or whatever fabric, she could get her hands on to redecorate the home, which has really helped me as a young Black woman in America, who has always felt displaced here. I'm able to look at our pieces, look at her work, really even just look at the way that, she keeps home and carries herself and her spirit and locate a sense of truth and meaning and purpose greater than the narrative that's continuously fed to us here in the States, really globally. There's a deep knowing, I think, when an artist is able to, whether it's textiles, whether it's, the pencil work that I see on your site, whether it's working with reupholstering fabrics, sculpture, like there's a deep knowing that comes from a spiritual place that is so, I think, difficult to wrap up into words. It's just something you have to feel. Which is such a beauty about Black people. I don't care what your skin tone is. I don't, care the experience that you've had. That memory is deep within you. So for all of you, especially, seeing that, Robert and Charles and Setu, like you are much older than I am, right?
Oops.
You are like not as old as my grandfather would have been if he was still with us, but older than my father for sure. And it's men like you who are sharing stories through art I think that really gives value to this space. And, you know, imagining young people like a Tyrone, or, you know, if my brother were on this same wavelength, would give them great inspiration to look towards something greater than we are, you know, told by people who do not know us, or who know us and fear us. Let me correct that. Who know us and fear us. So yeah, I think it's been a beautiful journey for me to reconnect with my mother through Tafari Raps. I am figuring out as I go. Every day is a new day. I learn something new from her. She learned something new from me, and we learn from the community. In terms of current events, we just wrapped up on January 2nd a 6-week holiday market here in Boston Seaport that was very successful. The neighborhood is like 98% white. So, and they did not, I don't think, market to the Black community, even though it is quite small in Boston. And there is according to a report a few years ago, the median income of Blacks in Boston is $8, meaning we don't really own that much, you know, compared to, let's say, Atlanta, especially. But that was successful for us. And from there, on the 23rd of this month until March 5th, we'll be at Bow Market, which is a retail space. So there are about 8 different businesses, and then there are food vendors as well. So we were able to, you know, make enough money to move into that space. 12 days, I think, is the countdown. So our hope is to grow beyond America, the Caribbean, and, you know, to relocate outside of the country, so we could reconnect and have a deeper connection to source and self, and really actualize what we are here for.
Tyrone, jump in. Tyrone Real is in Jamaica, and you've listened. After you, I'm going to play some music, so I'm letting the station know to get a tune ready by Ryan that features my brother Wayne McFarlane. I think you're going to all enjoy it, but it'll set the stage for the balance of the conversation, because I want to speak to the immediacy, the reckoning that we and the world are going to and through as we speak. Tyrone, but jump in, reflecting on what's been said so far, how it sits in your spirit, and what the mission is and the vision is for you.
All right. I've been listening, and I really appreciate all of you artists. You understand? Because it comes from, I would say, spirits never die. They just take on a different form. And knowing that we are Africans and we're in the diaspora in the West, we still have that deep connection. So my line of work that I'm gathering references currently, I want to try and get these work out by around April, May. Because, you know, I'm juggling a lot of things. So I'm just trying to get everything in that order. So I don't really rush when I'm painting. So by that time. So the idea behind my work is called Grassroot. So Grassroot, and it derives from me growing up in a particular community, and the things that I saw my people doing. Like, for example, they're cooking on the wood fire. Are they carrying water from the river, and their head are my grandfather carrying a big bunch of banana on his head, or coconut. So those are some cultural things that I can relate to. And also going in the market, seeing a market in Jamaica is like paradise. The food is not I would say in Walmart or the supermarkets that you guys are used to. and in Jamaica we have Price Mart and all of that. How they present their food in Price Mart, it looks artificial. But in the mart, when you walk through, you know, and you guys can check out one of my recent video. I don't know if I can pin the link to it, but you can just go on my channel. It's called Tyrone Studio. You're gonna look at the recent one, and you can see when I go through the Mandeville market, and you can see the vibrancy. That day, I got a whole catalog of reference from the people that were there. They were so receptive. They love what I'm doing, because I don't just take random pictures. I ask their permission if I can get them reference, because you know, as artists, you have to let them know that this is what you're doing. So grassroots is my idea, and I don't really put a lot of my paintings on the internet because of copyright issues. I don't want to be going to any back and forth with anybody. But for those who are listening to this live, you can find my work on Instagram. A few of my works, you're not gonna see the exclusive ones. It's a few copies. Artist_Tyrone. That's my Instagram handle. And
we'll come back, and we're getting the music queued up, but go ahead, Tyrone.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on now. For me, I'm a portrait and a landscape artist. I don't really do much abstract, so I like to be straightforward with what I'm saying. I don't want to mislead anybody and say, okay, I paint this, I paint that. But I major in portraits and landscape, and I paint really realistic. I like detail. I like information. So when a person see my painting, if it's 10 of you looking at it, you can identify with 10 different parts of the painting because of the detail and the information that is there. So that's what I try to achieve, and that's what I'm trying to master using my time here as an artist. And I like people to appreciate what I'm doing. So if those who need commissions, those who need all of that family portraits, I like to do this stuff. And so outside of setting up a portfolio of work, I do that. Like, you know, it's one thing, but it's kind of another thing. if that makes sense to you guys. So that's what I do as an artist. And I was inspired by a teacher, basically, like Mr. Charles here, a teacher. We say in Jamaica, the teacher boss you, and the teacher let you through the gate. And that was a big inspiration. A teacher, she saw that I could paint, I could draw, and from the days of being a child, I never saw it as I saw it as something that every child could have been doing. But when she saw it and give highlight to it and say, you're special, you are, then I start to have self-actualization. Because if you should check my grandparents' house, you know, all of the walls from I was a little boy, they're full of markings. If you should go there now, they don't erase it. They leave it as a memorial that this is what you were doing as a child. You see coconut trees, you see splashes, splishes, stickmen, all of that, like it was a cave. Yeah, so that's what I was doing. But when I reached that teacher, she opened my eyes and said, okay, you can do this, son. And I believed her. And from that point, I got the recognition as I deserve, and I started to go to galleries and art fairs and start to know other artists, and it is history from there. So
let me take a break and play this song from Ryan, and we'll come back because we've got about 10 minutes left after this. Mason, go ahead, or AZ, go ahead and play this song.
Oh, Queen Justice, where are you? Did they beat you up or no? Lock you on the ground, take the crown away from you?
Oh, Lady Liberty, red, white, and blue. Did they take your dignity with their bigotry? Teach you that you're born to lose.
Free or guilty, it's gonna get filthy. Better believe, roll up your sleeves. It's gonna get rough, it's gonna be tough. We all agree, we've had enough. We've had enough of all the rules you break. Going back in time won't make America great. We need justice now, people won't wait.
Action, no more distraction. Every step we take, we gain traction. If it can happen to one, it can happen to all. United we stand, divided we fall. Free or guilty, it's gonna get filthy. Better believe, roll up your sleeves. It's gonna get rough, it's gonna be tough. We all agree, we've had enough. Had enough
Of all the rules you were breaking.
had enough.
Of all the money you were making.
Had enough.
No more life gets taken.
Had enough.
This is a proclamation.
Free or guilty, it's gonna get filthy. You better believe, just roll up your sleeves. It's gonna get rough, it's gonna be tough. We all agree, we've had enough. Had enough.
Of all the rules you're breaking.
Had enough.
All the money you're making.
Had enough.
No more life gets taken.
Had enough.
This is the proclamation.
We've had enough. Trayvon Martin and Tommy Rice. We've had enough. Michael Brown and Eric gonna pay the price. We've had enough. Philando, Breonna, George Floyd. What? We've had enough. So many gone. How can we fill the void? How can we fill? We've had enough. John Crawford, I know you've heard. We've had enough. Sandra Bland, come on and take a stand. We've had enough. Sean Bell, what the hell? We've had enough. Freddie Gray, did you hear what I said? We've had enough.
This is a proclamation.
And those artists, including my brother Wayne McFarlane, I use that as a theme quite often. It's great music, makes you think about where we are. And so I want to use that to set up the last 10 minutes of the program, 8 minutes or so, and ask each of the artists here to make a comment about where we are, your vision as an artist on how we as a community and humanity move forward. What are the challenges? Robert Powell, let me start with you.
Wow. I would say we need to do what those who came before me have told us all along. Work together. I've heard that echoed here today. We have to figure out a way to start doing that. You know, even the old thing, you know, if everybody gave $100, we'd have, yeah, it would work if we do that instead of just talk about it. It's the, you know, the thing I think should be our goal, somehow connecting. I sat here and heard everyone's story, parts of it anyway. And I said, so my organization is a not-for-profit. I get money from Pepsi and Coke, you know. So I said, well, what if we had a national, international arts organization, each one of us plugging our mission into this new article, and then we could apply for grants in Minnesota, and Minnesota could apply for, artists could apply for grants in St. Louis, Missouri, or in Missouri, the Missouri Arts Council. If, you know, I've always tried to get artists to say, okay, let's all of us get together and put one grant in, covering all of our goals, all of our objectives, to the Missouri Arts Council. You know, Minneapolis must have an arts council that funds, you know, you got to be this and that. Yeah, but the same thing could happen, you know, how to come together. I don't want to take up all the time.
Yeah, let me ask Loretta Day to respond. Loretta, what do you think? And we're down to
wow.
about a minute each.
Well, okay, well, the video was very moving and it touched me in particular because I did a piece on Colin Kaepernick. And in the background, well, I have him kneeling, and in the background, I have a brick wall with the silhouette of the shape of Africa, the silhouette of Africa. On these bricks were names of victims of police violence. And every last one of those names that were mentioned in the video is on that painting. And then some. I have over 60 names. The reason why I did it is because I've noticed that there seems to be a trend of when something happens, a terrible thing happens, it gets swept under the rug for the next thing to happen. And I want to immortalize these names on campus so we cannot forget. I want to always be there in some shape, form, or fashion. And so I was really touched by that, and that's what moved me to do the Black History 365, because there's not enough talk about it outside of the realms of February. So
Delmisha, I'm moving it quickly. Time, Delmisha, what do you think?
Sorry. I think Robert is completely right. It's about unifying, but it's obviously not as easy as just saying it. I don't know where to begin outside of, within your nuclear unit, where even there, I know for my family, my siblings do not think the same way that my mother and I think, right? So how to unify and just find like-minded people to work towards one mission. But what is that mission? Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, MLK, they all were saying, phenomenal things. All these leaders have points, but not everyone is going to agree. So
Let me
I
go
don't
to
know.
Tyrone jump in. Tyrone, pushing the time here. Quick thoughts.
Yeah, I've been listening. That's a good idea. And in Jamaica, I have some. I can for the history of America, I can relate to it as a African, but I can't really relate to American history because I've never been there, and I can relate to the experience of Jamaicans going through similar beatings and police brutality and socialism in Jamaica. So it's a thing where I agree with the points, but we have to pitch it and you have to push it, just like all of the old masters did. So we're gonna see how that goes. All right. Thank
Charles
you very
Caldwell,
much.
jump in.
I just like to see the opportunity to create a program where young people can maybe get involved in the opportunity to get paid to be creative. Creating a summer youth program where we can have young people that they say don't have nothing to do over the summer to find out that they do have some creative things that they can express, and we can create some kind of a stipend or some kind of an income that they can have and something that they can be excited about the way that I was excited about it when I found out that I had creative abilities in the 6th grade.
Hey, could I jump in here real
Go
quick?
ahead. Sure.
Have everybody emails, contact. Since you got the emails,
Yep.
send it to everybody if that's okay. If you don't want
we
to
will share it. We will share it. Say two last comment for you.
Real quickly.
The reckoning. Yeah. Where do we go?
I mean, real quickly, it was inspiring to hear all of these stories. You heard just from 6 artists. You heard these stories. What Robert touched on is very real. There's a disparity that even exists in arts funding. And who gets those resources? Those are tax dollars that we all pay into. We deserve that, and we deserve access to it. We need to advocate for that for all of us. I mean, getting back to what Charles has said. But listening to these stories, these artists are not waiting for those resources. The entrepreneurial spirit that is in each one of these tales and stories will guide us into the future and will provide a foundation for us to work from.
What a wonderful conversation. We're out of time. Thank you all so very much. Setu Jones, Loretta Day, brother from Jamaica, brother Tyrone Rowe, my cousin from St. Louis, Robert Powell, my friend Charles Caldwell, and my cousin from New York, from Boston, Delmisha Haynes. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time. I'm Al McFarlane. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As morning draws near, I rise and say my prayer. Little piece of bread to my mouth, little tea to wash it out. It's my daily tribulation, even though I'm a working man. I work so hard to make ends meet, soldier, with one suit and one shoe to my feet. Days are getting so hard, yeah, but I got to keep on pushing on this 9 to 5, working to stay alive. On my 9 to 5, working till sun goes down. As the sun sets in the west, I pack my things and head on home, thinking about tomorrow's journey as I try these streets alone. It's my daily tribulation, oh just searching for liberation, yeah. Got to step out of Babylon, take a step to Mount Zion. Days are getting so hard, yeah, but I got to keep on pushing on this 9 to 5, working to stay alive. Oh, on this 9 to 5, yeah, working till sun goes down, sun goes down. Oh, days are getting so hard, yeah, but I got to keep on pushing on this 9 to 5, working to stay alive. Oh, on this 9 to 5, working till sun goes down, sun goes down, sun goes. On this 9 to 5, yeah, working to stay alive. Oh, on this 9 to 5, yeah, working till sun goes down. Oh Lord, got to keep working, got to keep working. Oh,